Huh. A guy with an edgy backstory, the motivation to save someone, and so far has never lost against Ash. Who does he remind me of?
Pokemon Ranger! I choose you!
What's up, mighty boys and girls, it's your Ranger Boy here, and welcome to another review of the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime. And I'm so happy right now, because Edgelord Day is always a good day, and we finally have him back with episode 105, Decisive Lycan Rock Battle, Ash vs Gladion. But before we will bask in his glory, let's look at last week's episode, because even though I didn't have time to do a full review, I still have some things to say about this specific episode. So, ratings. What can I say about the story? I have a very complicated relationship to this episode. On the one hand, I really liked it because they finally gave every member something meaningful to do for upcoming episodes. Kiawe will train to get stronger, Marlo wants to add the Poni Island radishes to her menu, Lana will meet up with her master Ia, which means even further development for her and her Popplio, and even Sophocles, fucking Sophocles, is progressing by wanting to evolve his Charjabug. And you know what the crazy thing is? They didn't even give Lillie a major goal in mind for upcoming episodes, which means that Sun and Moon actually and finally lets Lillie step down from the spotlight and let the other guys shine. I mean, what the hell? What is going on? Am I dreaming? Is this the whole parallel universe thing again with Daya and Zeraora? I'm so happy that Sun and Moon finally appreciates the other members. And at the same time, it makes me so angry that they now do something which could have been done months ago. Months. So in my opinion, Sun and Moon's other members get what they need and what they deserve. But you mentioned that this episode is kinda meh for you. Why? Sadly, not because of the old characters, but more so because of the new characters who made their debut in this episode. First, Hapu. I really like her design, her backstory and her character, but the way they introduced her into Sun and Moon was so copy-paste. In short, someone was stealing her radishes and she thought that Ash was the culprit, just to later find out that he wasn't. Such a generic story told numerous times, not only in Pokemon, but also in many other media. I really wished that they could have found a more creative way to introduce her into the anime. Next, Plumeria. And yes, you heard right, Plumeria is in the anime, which means that Guzma could arrive soon as well. But how has she been introduced? Well, after Hapu finished off the grunts quickly, she appeared, said that the grunts annoy her and that they should go home. That's it. She had 23 seconds of screen time. Really? 23 seconds of screen time? For such an important character? Oh, come on, Sun and Moon. How can she actually leave a good first impression within 23 seconds? Last but not least, the way Ash lost to Hapu. I mean, I get what the anime tried to tell, with Ash using Pikachu against Golurk, aka to show that he actually has some guts to fight with an electric type against a ground type, but man, this didn't make Ash look good at all. Especially since Hapu destroyed Ash. But I can't be too mad about it since the purpose was to tell a story. Anyway, even though knowing that the Sun and Moon gang finally will do something to develop their characters, the two very lackluster debuts combined with their very average plot leads to an average 5 out of 10. What can I say about the focus? Poni Island Research Project. Search for the Island King. And that focus kinda confused me. The first part is pretty accurate because it refers to every member starting something new to further progress in the story, and they even call that Poni Island Research. But the second part of the title couldn't be more inaccurate, since in the very first minutes of the episode, they mentioned that there isn't a Kahuna on Poni Island anymore because the old Kahuna retired, and throughout the episode they never even showed any kind of interest in searching for a new one, but instead Ash was actually searching for the guardian deity, Tapu Fini. Kahuna and guardian deities aren't the same, guys. I don't really know why the title was worded like that, but it leads to another 5 out of 10. Last but not least, animation. Usually the animation saves an average episode like this, but not this time. The battle against Golurk wasn't really an animation highlight since it was pretty short, rather one-sided, and thanks to Golurk's size, you couldn't really animate any kind of impressive action. Same goes with Mudsdale against Team Skull. But speaking of the whole Team Skull battle, especially during the battle, I have recognized an immense decrease in quality when it comes to the art style and the character design. Here is a decent shot of Ash. Here's another one. And then, what? What is this? And that? What the fuck? The art style was constantly changing throughout the Team Skull encounter, and not in a good way. And even the movements of both Ash and Tubbs seem to somehow decrease in frame rate. It was really odd. And the weirdest thing about all this is that this scene has been done by Isao Nanba, who also did good chunks of the Ash vs Misty battle, which is basically an animation spectacle. So that to me is just baffling. I'm sorry, but I have to give this a 4 out of 10. So this episode scores a 4.66 out of 10, and yeah, not a really good start into this new arc, but I still would recommend it because of the Sun and Moon crew finally doing something and the really odd changes in art style, which in my opinion is so weird that it's already hilarious. Now with that out of the way, let's concentrate on this week's adventure. So grab some popcorn, grab some cookies, and let's do this. As mixed as last week's episode was, at least we start off this week's episode with one of the more positive aspects. The gang continuing to do things which help them out with their development. Kiawe and even Sophocles are training with a Pokemon. I'm so proud of you guys. Marlo is gathering even more ingredients for her menu. Finally, she does the one thing she aimed for since episode 18. And Lana is waiting for her Master Ear. Well, you don't really do much, but I'm still proud of you. Oh yeah, and Lily's observing Pokemon. But we don't have any time to concentrate on Lily yet, because we're watching our hero Ash sprinting up the hills because he wants a rematch against Hapu, vintage Ash. But she doesn't seem to be at home, and we quickly find out why. Because she's visiting Tapu Fini's altar, so that the deity could reach out to her grandfather for some advice, since she doesn't know why she still hasn't been chosen as a kahuna yet. Wait, hold on. According to Gladion later on, Tapu Fini can connect a person to another beloved person who passed away. But in last week's episode, the gang stated that the last kahuna, aka Hapu's grandfather, just retired. He didn't pass away, but in this scene right here, it seems like he passed away. Kinda confusing. Anyway, after the cute Lily took cute pictures of cute Pokemon in a cute way, she suddenly encounters her Oni-chan Gladion. Oh my edgelord! But before we enter this juicy part of the story, we switch back to Hapu, who clearly has a problem with her suddenly rampaging Mudsdale. Our hero to the rescue, who immediately solves the problem, which in the end turns out to be a part of Corsola's body being stuck inside Mudsdale's foot. Wait, does Tapu Fini actually kill innocent Corsolas? Or even worse, did Misty actually kill her own Corsola for redemption because she didn't do anything during her return? Well, Ash doesn't really care about any of that, because he wants to battle. I want a battle to prepare myself against Tapu Fini, because battling a Tapu is like a grand trial. Right? And because of the pure ignorance and slight disrespect Ash showed towards the role of a kahuna, Hapu gave Ash a well-deserved kick, and Ash is blasting off again. Oh, I kinda missed that joke. Meanwhile, Lillie and Gladion are also talking about the Tapu, but in a more emotional way. Because with the help of Tapu Fini, Gladion wants to get in contact with his dad again, and Lily's expression is this half-shocked, half-surprised one, and just fantastic look. After that little shock, Lily states that she didn't really know her dad that well, since she was very small at that time and only remembers him from photos. By the way, just look at this beautiful woman and this man. Now I know where Gladion got that sexy hair from. But unlike Lily, Gladion remembers every moment with his dad, especially him patting his head, which made Gladion feel really warm. Oh hey, warm Lily, look, it's official. You now have a warm Gladion as a bro. And to finally get his desired head patting, he decides to impress Tapu Fini with a battle, so that it will grant him his wish. And Lily offers her help by wanting to battle Gladion. What? Wait, she wants to battle Gladion? Really? Sure, she defeated a fucking Tyranitar, but that was with a lot of help. So why does she think that she can actually even scratch a guy who constantly is pounding Ash Alan style? But luckily there was no sister pounding involved. Because Ash fell from the sky again. And instead of Lily, Ash is now Gladion's opponent, and even suggests to let the two Lycanrocs battle. And to sum it up, it was a great battle. Ash with his unpredictable battle style while using the environment against Gladion's rather straightforward style while trying to counter every tactic of his opponent. And during that battle, Hapu got more and more fascinated with both Ash and Gladion, and even asked Lily what makes this battle so special, which Lily answers with that both are able to reach the top of their Pokemon's potential because trainers and Pokemon are trusting each other so much that they in the end improve each other. Anyway, back to the battle. Gladion really did counter nearly every attack Ash tried to use, and even when Ash landed a hit, it barely even scratched Midnight, and that plays a huge role for the climax. You see guys, after Midnight severely damaged Ash's Pokemon with a Sword Dance Outrage combo, Lycanroc got confused and Ash tried to one-shot Gladion's ace with his Z move. But since Gladion's Pokemon barely took any damage, Gladion's Lycanroc not only survived the move, but at the same time used the impact of the move move to snap out of the confusion. Fucking genius! He basically pulled an Ash Ketchum on Ash. Damn! And since Dusk Lycanroc was tired, Gladion used that opening to one-shot Ash with his new Z move, Devastating Drake, and he wins. The episode then ends with Tapu Fini watching the battle, while the narrator tells us that all four, yes, even Lillie, are now aiming to get Tapu Fini's wish. That's the end of the episode, and without any more hesitation, let's dive right into ratings. What can I say about the story? In short, I loved nearly everything about this episode. Every character was implemented into the episode seamlessly, and they all have a goal in mind. Tapu Fini. Ash wants to battle Tapu Fini to clear his grand trial, which of course won't work, and actually contradicts with Hapu's goal of becoming a kahuna, since only a kahuna can do a grand trial. That's why they seem to be very opposite to each other, even having two very different opinions and ideals. But at the same time, it was great to see that despite all that, Hapu still showed a lot of interest in Ash and later on even Gladion. At the same time, the pair of Lillie and Gladion are the direct counterpart to Ash and Hapu. Their goals actually complement each other, with Gladion wanting to meet Tapu Fini so that he can talk to his dad, while Lillie is trying to help her brother achieve that. The second main event of the episode, besides the display of relationships, was of course the battle between Ash and Gladion, and that was also executed very well. Intense and fast-paced action combined with tactics which in the end made sense and wasn't illogical BS like in numerous other Sun and Moon battles, and it was just a pleasure to watch. I just have a few nitpicks in regards of this episode. First, the whole Hapu scene at the Altar of Hope really was confusing, since this scene clearly tried to tell that her grandfather has passed away, even though in last week's episode the Sun and Moon gang stated that he just retired from being a kahuna. In my opinion, this is a rather big plot hole. Secondly, the fact that the Sun and Moon anime even thought about the idea of Lillie being able to battle against Gladion. This is just downright blasphemous. You really want to tell me that this girl right here, who just like her other friends, barely trains her Pokemon and even barely battles at all, is supposed to keep up with this guy? A guy who constantly trains his Pokemon and so far has never lost a battle against Ash? Come on guys, I know that Lillie is the most popular girl in Sun and Moon, but the idea alone is ridiculous. But even though those two nitpicks bothered me a lot, it still doesn't change the fact that this story was excellent, so I will give it a well-deserved 10 out of 10. What can I say about the focus? Decisive Lycanroc battle, Ash vs Gladion, makes clear that the main portion of the anime was the Lycanroc battle, and it definitely was the highlight, even though I also loved the excellent storytelling of this episode as much as the battle itself. Once again, I have to mention is what I really loved about this battle is not only the execution, but also the logic in this battle, since every counter of Gladion against Ash was something you could understand, and the end result of Midnight tanking the Z move also made sense due to Gladion's Pokemon barely taking any damage. 10 out of 10. Animation. Before I focus on the battle, I first want to tell you guys about my absolute favorite animation in this episode. Lillie's shocked expression followed up by her hat flying into the air. I really wish I knew who animated and orchestrated that scene, because it was perfect. That one scene alone gave me goosebumps because it was able to tell a little story without any words, and it fits so good to the whole story with Gladion and his goal of searching for his dad, because we all were shocked about this reveal, and this scene perfectly described how many of us have felt. But anyway, let's move on to the battle. Fluid and fast animation during this battle, sprinkled with a good amount of intensity. Sadly, even though this is a late review, my source couldn't tell me which animator did which part, even after days after the episode aired. But I have to say, with sadness in my heart, that the animation drags the episode away from the perfect 10 out of 10. Why? Because of the new Z move, Devastating Drake. The preparation of the move looked great, especially since Gladion is basically doing a Kamehameha. But when it comes to the move itself, it was rather boring, and if not downright anticlimactic. And even worse, the animation didn't even show the Z move making contact with Dust Form Lycanroc, but instead they then cut to a distance shot with a tiny explosion. And that was it. In my opinion, a huge disappointment, especially if you compare it with the other Z moves. Sadly, that will take off a lot of points, which leads to just an 8 out of 10. So this episode scores a 9.33 out of 10, and after the rather disappointment which was last week's episode, this was a huge improvement, and also in my opinion a step into the right direction. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed this rather long review, and just like always, see you guys in the comments down below. Bye guys!